Very good. Hello. My name is Liz McDuffie, and I am the director of the Medical Cannabis Caregivers Institute here in Pasadena. The Institute is a nonprofit organization that provides education and resources to individuals who are participating in their state medical marijuana access program. Well, I know Joe Grumbine as one of our instructors here at the MCC. And through Joe Grumbine and through participation in his court support program, I've had a very eye-opening experience. I believe I've learned more in the courtroom than I have in any of the classes that have gone on here at the MCC. And I came to understand the power of one Joe teaches in terms of jury nullification. I understood that concept, that I had the ability as a juror to vote not guilty. However, I really didn't get it fully. I really didn't understand an absolutely essential part of this concept of a power of one and jury nullification. You know, as a juror, you take an oath to make a judgment and regarding the evidence that's presented. And I didn't really understand that as a juror, I had the right to make a verdict of not guilty on the basis of the actual law itself being unjust, not on the basis of the evidence that was presented, but on the actual law itself that is being used to determine or sentence penalties for the defendant. So that was a big revelation to me.
Tell them about our little argument we had. I wasn't going to do this as an interview, but I'm going to interject a little bit because I had called up Liz McDuffie from the hospital when I was picking up Kathy Z. And while we were in the middle of Aaron's trial, and I called her and I said, Liz, nobody's coming from L.A. I need you to come and get some people. And she says, all right, and send me the information. And then about 20 minutes later, she called me back and she goes, Joe, you know, I've been thinking, and I just really think that this isn't worth your time, and I think that, you know, sometimes people, they're not really following the law, and that he wasn't protected by California state law. And I said, Liz, it's not about that. And we went around and around for probably 20 minutes in an impassioned argument. And I pled my case that this was not about state law at all. And I said it's about liberty, and it's about, you know, I even went so far as to mention that my relatives fought in the Revolutionary War, and they spilled their blood, and we're not done yet. And she just, we ended, and she just hung up. We hung up peacefully, but disagreed. And then she called me back.
Yes, I did call you back, Joe. You know, I felt very strongly, as you know, that this program, the California's medical marijuana program, and it's a very precious program in the sense that, historically speaking, we're actually having the ability to participate in the reemergence of cannabis into our pharmacology. And let's face it, I mean, in reality, there are some people out there that are using the program. We all know that. But they're using the program for financial gain. I mean, we can't close our eyes to that. And I felt that these individuals, even though that's why we live in the great state of America, these individuals have helped bring cannabis into the mainstream. They've taken their blows for it. You know,
they make their bed, they got to sleep in it.
Yes, they have. I respect that. But on the other hand, to ask for, in my mind, to ask for defense on the basis of medical cannabis when you weren't really, I mean, come on, you know, the individuals who are growing hundreds of plants, thousands of plants, it doesn't work in terms of how this medical marijuana program the laws for the program are structured. And so I felt like, how can I sit there and say the man isn't, is not guilty when he's saying he's doing medical and it obviously doesn't look that way. On the other hand, is it right to put anyone in jail for cultivating a plant with a history of medical use? The law is unjust. And when I realized that I needed to be there, it should be there, and wasn't there, for Sandusky on the basis that he was being tried with a law that is hideously unjust, and that I, as a juror, had the ability to save that man 10 years in prison for, 10 years in prison for growing a cannabis plant. A plant that's never killed anyone, never hurt anyone, and has medical value. And that, I could definitely say, not guilty. So this message, to me, Joe Grumbine's message, that he is carrying out, Liz McDuffie with the MCC, my banner has been the DPH card and protecting yourself under this program. But, and that's an important message. But Joe Grumbine's message strikes much deeper. And it is an area that is of the most vital importance. And Joe, through his human solution, has found a way to bring this message into our court system. It's going to take our community to do it. But he has discovered a way to get this important message out in front of the courts, at the court cases, to let the community and jurors know that they have the power of one. And that is your right to say not guilty on the basis that the law is unjust.